Well, here we are again. Another Ignite. Another time to talk to Tim. He's been a large figure in the App-V community, and now we're making our way over to MSIX, and I thought it'd be good to catch up with him and get his thoughts, since he's been busy with both technologies. And I guess you're still teaching App-V. There's still demand.
Yeah, I'm still doing a lot of classes, particularly in Europe. There's a lot more demand in Europe right now than here in the States, but we're doing. I think I got 4 more classes before the end of the calendar year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so with Windows 10, there has been a bit of a revival. There's still been some holdouts I've noticed with App-V in terms of getting off of 4.6. They're writing it out to the bitter end. And it's getting those people into the App-V 5-fold and dealing with, it was essentially a rewrite. So they had to learn the differences and how to be successful packaging for it.
Yeah, I really am not seeing people that are doing that transition from 4.6 to 5.0 at this point. They're pretty much, I think, are there. The people I've been seeing come into classes are people who are either been using App-V 5 for a while, or they're just starting and getting into it.
Oh, okay. So that's a little different than my perspective, but it's worth noting.
People are going to it. I think, particularly with some of the tooling that I've done, we've made it an easier way to package now. So we're not just using the tool straight from Microsoft. We're doing additional stuff that analyzes the package and tells you what's wrong with it out of the box, so you don't have to go figure that out. And I think that makes a much better packaging process.
Yeah, so you were just released a new tool, TM Edit.
Right.
Which I was actually surprised at its capabilities. Like, I was honestly expecting less, but...
thank you.
No. I thought it was, I knew it would be a paid tool, but I really didn't understand what you were baking into it. And I found it, refreshing to still see some tools that are adding a lot of maturity to that ecosystem.
Yeah, I'd really taken the free tool, the App-V Manage tool, as far as I could, and we've done a lot of things with it to analyze the package and then give you some scripts, but you really had to go back and repackage the app with those scripts to get the effect of it. So I finally decided to bite the bullet and say, okay, we're actually just going to write directly to the App-V file and fix it for you. And so once I started that, I didn't intend to do a full-fledged editor when I started the project, but once I started it, it just made sense to kind of complete out that full functionality so that you can change anything, including a lot of stuff that's just not available from the sequence editor directly. Yeah,
and I noticed it does a lot of analysis, suggested fix-ups, just even surgical edits, which is still a big thing, because I find, even though App-V 5 is mature, the sequencer still has goofy workflows for certain types of scenarios you want to edit your packages.
Yeah, it does. And with I think where we are with App-V at this point, I think that as a platform, it's pretty stable, and that makes building tools like this far more possible than it would have been a few years ago.
Yeah, I totally get that, and it's cool that customers can still enjoy using App-V 5 for a while at least.
Yeah.
And what would you think about this whole App-V versus MSIX? I think it's. To me, it still seems like MSIX is still very early in its lifespan and hasn't really come out of the gates with the same level of capability in terms of sequencing apps. And so I think if you're going on a Windows 10 project today, you're pretty much stuck with the decision of going with App-V or not, and not really looking at MSIX.
Yeah, certainly this year I think that's the case. MSIX is coming out as part of 1809, so they have support built into the platform for it, much like the way you have App-V built into the OS itself. The packaging tool just recently came out publicly. We've been working with versions of this all summer long, but it's sort of like a premature birth. It's in its pre-infancy. There's a lot of capabilities that aren't there. My ability to take the kind of applications that I see enterprise using and running through it, tooling and get it to just work straight out of the box isn't very good right now. They have to get fixed up. They do have this really neat package support framework to help us do that, but I look at that as something that is going to be difficult for a lot of IT pros to pick up and use directly. We're going to need either better support in the platform, because they're not done building it. They said they were going to release it over the next 3 releases. So this is just phase 1.
Okay.
And as well as the tooling vendors. So I'm spending this week, as you know, in the Advanced Installer booth. They've done some neat things with some of their tooling to try to detect some of the issues and go ahead and take care of that and put the shims in place. But it is really kind of a straightforward package and shim type of solution the way it is today. So there's a lot of work done there. Now hopefully what we'll be seeing is we'll see ISVs start releasing in this format, and that's what's going to make this truly exciting. Once those folks start releasing, then you'll have a mixture of both, and ultimately that's what I kind of see happening down the road. Certainly over the next 5, maybe 7 years, is customers will use a mixture of these technologies to get the applications out.
Okay. Yeah, and that's really my concern is for IT pros to be successful. They need a way to make it very wizard-driven, nice GUIs, Otherwise, I think it's going to fall flat, except with larger enterprises where they have dedicated packaging teams that can invest in learning the ins and outs of MSIX.
Yeah, and even with that, I think, when I look at the people who come to my App-V classes, we usually get, some pretty high-tech talent that are in those classes. And we can teach them how to do App-V very effectively. Right now, I'm guessing I can probably only get 50 to 60% of them to be able to do the kind of things that you'd have to do with MSIX to get those packages working. So there is a ways for that technology to go to make it easier and make it a more smooth process.
Yeah. So how do you see this package support framework playing out? Do you think this is something that'll be done on a community basis with GitHub, or is this going to be more in the domain of the various tool makers that have their own proprietary technologies?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see how that rolls out. What Microsoft has released in the package support framework is extremely capable, but it's very, very rudimentary. They're not giving you the soup, they're giving you, some onions in the backyard and other vegetables and telling you to go make your soup.
Yes.
So we need further help. One of the things that I've been working on this summer, and we're hoping we'll be able to get up into the GitHub repository as a community piece, is some monitoring pieces. So you have the ability to just take your package, I know it doesn't work, let's put in a monitoring piece that gives you something that's kind of like a Procmon interface out, that you can see what's happening to the various file and registry calls and where your package is having a problem and that you need to do some type of shimming for. Now, the third-party tool vendors, I'm hoping, will take the PSF as a basic framework, but produce something that's much better and more polished and something that's easy to do with, click buttons along the way. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. I don't really expect those things to be community efforts. I think they're going to start with the community piece, build their own IP around it, and that's something you'll pay for to do the packaging.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I've gotten with MSIX is Microsoft's giving you the container and a little bit of tooling, but if you want like the nice polished packaging experience that you're used to, you're going to have to look at the third-party vendors and community to really build that out.
Certainly that's the case right now. I mean, for anyone who's used to App-V, you kind of understand the concept of you got applications that put data in and try to deal with data in wrong places. And App-V very much remediates that out of the box with an algorithm in there that includes both the BFS pathing stuff as well as the copy on write capability, where if you have data that was delivered in the package and you want to change it, it takes that data, puts a copy outside, and allows you to edit it from there. And all that happens automatically inside the platform. MSIX does a little bit of the VFS pathing, but not all of it. So for example, right now it's not doing app data local or app data roaming. So if the application installer delivered some data in there, the application doesn't see it unless somebody does a shim to make it find it.
Yeah, which is most Win32 apps.
Which is a lot of old Win32 apps. It's doing a lot of the other VFS pathing, but not that piece, and it's not doing any of the copy on write automatic. So for all of those things right now, those are the kind of things we have to shim that I'd like to see put into the platform itself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and maybe it is in the backlog somewhere that we're not aware of.
Yeah, it would be nice if we had a nice road chart that said what they are and aren't going to do. I mean, we know what we have. We know they've said that they're going to work on virtual services at some point. They've also publicly said they're going to do fonts, because fonts aren't supported right now. Yeah.
So App-V, you get virtual fonts, but not MSIX.
Not right now, but they said they're going to do that.
Okay.
So we don't know when, but those are really the only two. I mean, I filed probably over 50 bugs in the community portal with them, and those are the only two that said, yeah, we're doing that.
Oh, okay.
Other than things they've already fixed, because there were stupid little things in the tooling.
Yeah.
But they are being responsive on those, at least.
Yeah. So what do you feel about this being embraced by developers? Because I was a little surprised to see that this is a container not only for your client apps but for your server apps and possibly cross-platform installations.
Yeah, they have some high hopes there that we'll have to wait and see on. It is a container which is different. App-V, we actually could call App-V a container, but it's a much more flexible container than what we're running in with MSIX. One of the strange things that I found in testing that I did is, for example, you can't have a launch point to a native executable with your stuff. You think about doing like IE plugins and Java and stuff like that. The shortcut for what you're going to run has to be inside your package.
Yes.
And that's just kind of what? Because if it's outside the package, then they don't put it in the container, and then everything's messed up.
Yeah, that's odd.
And that's odd. That's one of the things that I hope can get on their roadmap at some point.
Yes.
But maybe by then everyone's just using Edge, and they're using the Edge style plugins now, so maybe you don't need it.
Well, yeah.
And maybe Java will die.
Well, maybe, yeah. There's always hope that we'll finally see it go away, but unfortunately, I see too many financial apps that still love Java, and old versions are nicely insecure. So hackers are going to be happy that they got something to exploit, but it's.
That's why I love putting that stuff in App-V. Make the user only use that version of Java when they need to. You can still have multiple versions, and because it is isolated. I mean, App-V is not a security solution, but it is isolated. It does provide a level of protection better than what you would have on a native use. Yeah,
that's for sure. So, with the App-V lifecycle, what are your thoughts about how much road is left on that? From what I've seen with App-V 4.6, the fact that people are writing it out to the very end of Windows 7 makes me think that putting App-V 5 in the grave may still take a while.
Oh, it definitely will. I mean, I'll be retired long before then. When we originally built the thing, I didn't think it would last more than a couple, maybe 3 years, and it'll get replaced by something new. And it's proved to be something that is flexible enough and usable enough, and yeah, it has its warts like anything else, but we're able to work with those things, and it's turned out it's worked out well for the enterprise. I feel some people never really gave it a chance because they always wanted this 100% guarantee that it works with everything. But if you've ever dealt with packaging apps, no technology is 100% for deploying it. Absolutely. Although I will say, Microsoft is got a lot better, and it's one of the messages that I think enterprises haven't really clued in on yet, in that going from Windows 7 to 10 and from one version of 10 to another. Microsoft is doing a really good job on the app compatibility. So whatever packaging you've done, you don't really need to redo it because you're going to that next version. Sure, you got to do a little bit of testing, but quite frankly, you could do spot testing with that and just assume the apps are going to work and just focus on the operating system and all the things you need to learn to do that different operating system.
Yeah, like I've been doing work with oil companies, and with the downturn in their market, a lot of their applications never got the love and care they should have, and they're running on ancient backends, and the client technology isn't much better. And I've been really surprised at how well a lot of this stuff came across to Windows 10 compared to the other iterations of operating system upgrades I've been throughout the years.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you for, enlightening us a little bit.
Okay.
I guess you're looking at getting on the MSI bandwagon as well with training.
Well, actually, we just announced our first class today in 2019. I'm going to start doing kind of a joint App-V and MSIX packaging class. We'll do a single class where we really take you through what you need to know for both of those technologies. Because you're going to be doing both of them if you're doing them. So our first class is scheduled in I think the end of April in Bern, Switzerland.
Oh.
And I haven't even looked at the rest of 2019 yet. So, but we'll have more classes.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's going to be some eager folks willing to give it a test drive and figure it out.
I mean, what I'm trying to tell customers is not to get too overly excited. Be enthusiastic, but don't think that MSIX is going to solve all your problems this year. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, I have to admit, it's good that we're going to a more modern container that works with the Windows Store, because that story needs to happen for the modern desktop.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how this all pans out for virtual desktops like Session Host, but I'm sure there'll be a story for it at some point.
Hopefully so.
Okay, well, thanks again, and I'll catch you again next year.
All right.
All right.